Sasha K from Hawaii writes, "From the time my son Asa was born, I have included him in as many of my own activities as possible. It seemed to me that taking him to movies, restaurants, and parties was certainly more stimulating for him than a babysitter. At first it seemed like a sacrifice for me since I had to spend considerable time interacting with him instead of enjoying the adult entertainment. But now I know how much I've gained in contrast to parents who can't manage their children in similar situations. Asa and I have worked out a special relationship where learning and entertainment merge together. Of course, including him in my life means no less than including myself in his life. When he was an infant not yet able to crawl, he often became animated and struggled while looking at a toy far across the room. When I left him alone to develop spontaneously, he would easily lose interest in the toy and turn to something else. So I would make the toy slowly weave and hop its way over toward him. He watched the toy until it stopped just out of reach, and then he struggled furiously until he grasped it. The smug look on his little face let me know that I had done something right. Months later, when he toddled over to me with a picture book, I directed his attention to the alphabet letters and labeled them as well as the pictures. A few days later, at the zoo, he pointed to a letter T on a sign and said, "T, T," with the same excitement he had when pointing out a monkey or turtle. Now Asa is 3, and we spend a great deal of time playing with his toy dishes. As we make pancakes, I talk about each ingredient as he mixes it in, where it comes from, and how the pancakes would taste if we didn't add it. One of his favorite jokes is staging an accident and spilling too much pretend salt into the batter. We then cough and sputter eating these yucky pancakes. I have come to believe that consistently taking what Asa is doing and then deliberately extending it by adding new information, drawing him just barely beyond the edge of his understanding, has dramatically affected his ability to learn. While I realize that many of the parents who speak in GWS about leaving their children alone to learn by themselves are actually participating in many ways, I think it's important to appreciate the parent's role as a more positive one. Parents may well see themselves as facilitators of their child's learning experiences. I would find it very helpful if more parents could write GWS about the strategies they use to facilitate their child's learning. That is, how they amplify and elaborate on their child's initial expressions of interest without imposing the kind of predefined goals characteristic of formal schooling. In my reply, I being John Holt, wrote, "You speak of taking what Asa is doing and then deliberately extending it by adding new information. A wonderful idea. And yet, there can be a danger in it beyond a certain point. If everything we say or do around a child has some kind of conscious pedagogical intent, if our response to everything the child does is to think, 'How can I use this to teach him something?' we run the risk of turning our home into a school. There doesn't have to be and shouldn't be a lesson in everything. The line is hard to find, harder yet to describe. I like my friends to tell me things that they are interested in and that I don't know. It is part of any good conversation. Yet, I don't like being around people who act and talk as if their mission in life was to educate me, whose relation to me is always that of teacher to pupil. When your children are little enough, almost anything you say is fascinating. But as they get a little older, they will become very aware of how you talk to your adult friends. And they will not like it if you have one way of talking for your friends and another, different, more teacherish way for your children."